Oh, you're going to make him read it?
Absolutely.
For this next segment, we have a really cool guest, Amanda Suffecool. She's running for the NRA Board of Directors.
All right, but first, if you have legal matters that involve firearms that you need to call California firearms lawyer John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you need to know that your guns are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney, John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws, 760-642-7150, or just go to his website at dillonlawgp.com. All right. I'll let you introduce our guest.
All right. So today we have Amanda Suffecool. She is running for the NRA Board of Directors.
Well, hello, Amanda. How are you today?
I am great. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's our pleasure. So it was really good to have you on board. And so the Society of Guns and Non-Traditional Groups, kind of give us a little idea what that's all about.
Society of Guns and that's not my group.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was looking at the wrong sheet.
Dave.
Well, you guys switched it out.
It's interesting, but it's not my group. I'm involved with the DC Project and a not-for-profit called Realize Firearms Awareness, and I have a nationally syndicated radio show, and I'm running for the board of directors of the NRA.
So Amanda.
We can talk on one of those.
Yeah,
so
well,
you know, she actually ad-libbed the first bullet point that we were actually going to ask of her. So, Amanda, what Dave was supposed to ask of you is just to give a quick intro for listeners that might not have heard you on all of your previous visits here to the show.
So it's a little bit of all that, and I do the concealed carry fashion shows kind of across the country. So I kind of play in guns a little bit everywhere.
That's amazing. Well, sorry for the snafu. So
That's okay, I get it.
Well, they did a last minute page change, so it caught me off guard. So, but still, let's talk a little bit about being on a board of directors, because nobody really. I mean, what does a board of director do with the NRA? I mean,
well, that's an interesting thing. I mean, I can't tell you everything that the board of directors does because I'm not on it.
Yeah.
So let me give you the backstory of kind of where I am and why I want to be on it. So I've been a life member of the NRA for, I don't know, gazillion years, something like that. And I am a just freshly retired engineer in the aerospace industry, and so now I have time. And so there's a spot where you look at it saying, what do you do with the rest of your life when you now don't have to go to work 40 hours a week? And Second Amendment is my love. So the real thing is who is the elephant in the room, and the NRA is it. You know, there's the NRA and the work that they do, Firearms Policy Coalition, the Second Amendment Foundation, Gun Owners of America. I mean, there's names, and those names are doing amazing things. But no matter how amazing that stuff is, none of them compare in size and scope and just overall strength to what the NRA is and what the NRA has to offer. And so when you're looking at it going, okay, what are you going to do? I want to be an asset, and I want to help in steering where the NRA goes for the next 100 years. And so that's kind of a piece of it, is to look at it and say that the board of directors for the NRA is 76 members. It sounds like a huge board. They rotate out 25 members every year. And but when you really look at what all do they do, some of them are instructors, and so training is their area of expertise. Some of them are business owners, and so they get that piece of it. Some of them are notable names that it's just the PR portion and fundraising and the support for the NRA. So when you break it down that way, you know, it's everybody's got a slot, and so it's not as huge a board when you look at everybody's different wheelhouses.
Right, exactly. So is this how do you go about, are you voted on by the NRA, or how does that work?
Yeah, so what happens is that every year there is an election for 1/3 of the board of directors. And so there's two ways to get on the board or get on the ballot. I'm sorry. There's two ways to get on the ballot, and one of them is to get on the ballot by going through and having the nominating committee look at you and say, yep, I will nominate this person to be on the ballot. The other is to do it by petition, and so the petition folks do it they have to have a certain percentage of signatures of the voters who voted last year. Mm-hmm. And so they have to go find life members or members who have been a member for 5 years or more, because they don't want people to sign up for the NRA and then vote in a manner to where they could sway an election. So you have to have kind of some skin in the game.
All right.
Which makes it harder when you're trying to find people to vote or people to do the petition, because you're like, okay, are you a member of the NRA? Are you a life member of the NRA? Have you been a member for this long? You know, and so you're asking all these questions of them. But there's a reason.
But you got to ask a lot up ahead before you ask that question, because they're going to wonder, what are you asking all these questions for?
Right. What are you doing? So I went through the nominating committee. Mm-hmm. So I sent in my packet of information, and I actually have sent my packet of information into the nominating committee like 3 or 4 years in a row. And this is the year that they finally decided that this nominating committee, because every year it's a different group of people,
right,
decided that maybe I was somebody that would be a good candidate.
Yeah.
So,
Alicia, did you have a question?
I do. So yeah, I was just listening to her give her
Well, you had your
information.
finger up, so that was
too.
That's the
my questions is very specific, not so much to her, to your involvement with the NRA, but actually more just in the gun world in general. I was curious, has the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin case affected anything by way of laws or just any circumstances in your state?
Ohio was not, because that's where my home state is Ohio. Ohio has not really yet been impacted by the Bruin case, but let me tell you, it's coming.
Oh yeah.
When you really look at it, I honestly believe, and you guys tell me what you think, I honestly believe that they're going to call into question the 1934 Gun Control Act, the NFA. They're going to call into question the 1968 serialization, the ATF, the whole thing. I mean, right now, Firearms Policy Coalition has got lawsuits in almost all of the district courts about 18 to 21-year-olds. And they're using Bruin as a baseline. But there's nothing in the law in the first place that says that the line is really 18-year-olds.
Exactly. Are you familiar? Of course, where'd you say you're at? You're in Ohio?
Ohio. Mm-hmm.
Well, here in California, they've got a law on the books, which are trying to get it on. It's on the governor's desk, 2571. And it's to not allow anybody sell any products to kids that has anything to do with guns. So all the shotgun clubs can't have advertisers, all of the pheasant club. Did you hear about that out here?
Yeah, I've seen it. And then because I've got some friends who are in California who are like, look, I have been offering training to juveniles,
right,
and I can't. So I can't even teach gun safety to kids because of the way that this law is written. I believe that Bruin. So I believe that one of the things we're going to see is a lot of, let's just call it the alligator death roll, where they're thrashing and making noise and doing all this kind of stuff, but they're in trouble, and they know they're in trouble. Mm-hmm. And the gun grabbers are looking at every different way that they can come about this to see if anything's going to stick. Right. But based on the fact that the Bruin case came out, and right after that came out the EPA versus West Virginia about government overreach of letter organizations, which is smack dab into the wheelhouse of the ATF. I believe that we're going to see lawsuits for the next couple of years, but it is going to be positive impacts to Second Amendment folks like they have never seen before.
Yeah, I totally agree. But, so what do? Join the NRA. It's probably a good start.
Join the NRA. Make a donation to Firearms Policy Coalition.
Right.
Join Second Amendment Foundation. I mean, I'm a life member of both the NRA and SAF.
Yeah, and as much as we all hate to say it, money is power, and unless you can get money behind these programs, then the other side's going to win, or whatever side you're up against is going after a bill that you want or don't want. You have to support either the people or the cause or the organization, or it's all going to go away.
It takes millions of dollars to get to the Supreme Court level. Millions.
Isn't that insane?
It is.
That just doesn't seem American to me.
I mean, well, when you look at, and it took the Heller decision took 13 years to work its way through the courts.
You know what? If this was my company, those people would be fired. They're terrible. I mean, they have a terrible efficiency rate. Right.
I'm with you. And I mean, and then when you looked at the fact that when the Supreme Court took this Bruin case, the year before, they had stacked up a whole stack of Second Amendment cases that each one, you look at it, that they had spent $1 million to get to that place. They were in this stack at the Supreme Court, and then the Supreme Court was like, yeah, no. and they just pushed them all off into the trash can. And so
into the trash can?
Well, they just sent them all back or said they're not listening to them or whatever. So, I mean, legitimately, it was in the trash can. It didn't go any further.
There's 9 more people I just fired. I mean, get with the program, people.
Right, but the Supreme Court can only hear so many cases. I get that.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see their time card. I'd like to see how much time they really spend. Yeah, but come on. Nice people. Yeah, I'd go to brunch with them. But I don't see a time card. I don't see a report. Lifetime appointment? Would you want to see a little progress report? I don't know.
So is their job to work or their job to think?
Well, there's that too. That too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you and I shouldn't be on radio together because, see, we think way, 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 way too much. And that's dangerous. Hey, you going to stick with us for another segment?
Sure.
All right. Hey, do you have trouble fitting in workouts? Can't say that without laughing. My busy schedule? Yeah, you got to try Leo Fit. I'm telling you. Leo Fit is super high-tech gym that delivers the benefit of 3 to 6 hours of traditional stretch training in just 2 20-minute sessions a week. Yes, that sounds hard to believe, but because the machines are computer-controlled, they deliver the maximum weight you can safely handle by the seconds. And that's how you get the highest possible return on your fitness investment in time. I know. You just need to go down and see Leo Hamill. He's the jewelry guy of fame. And Leo Fit guarantees the metal bottle, never could say that word, strength, fitness, and every session. You will not understand how it works until you try it. So just go down there and ask. They'll be more than happy to hook you up. You can sign up on the website if you like, leofitlabs.com, or you can type in Leo Fit on your browser, and they'll get you some more information. But give it a shot. Can't say no till you try it. All right, we got Amanda back.
Hey, Amanda.
Are you there, my dear?
Yes.
There we go. All right, so now I have to go to page 37 to know who you are.
Subsection 2. All right, Amanda, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
All right, so how do you see the NRA after the years of infighting with Wayne?
That's the thing that is amazing. And because when you talk to the rank and file NRA members, they don't know this infighting is happening. When you talk to the kind of the industry people, they're like, well, what's going on with this? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. And so people are like, well, what are you going to do? You're going to go in there, and how are you going to change it? And it's like, the first thing that I'm going to do is gather information, and I can only assume that stuff that is known to the board is different than the stuff that is known to the public.
Sure.
I would hope so.
And so there will be a variety of data gathering before decisions are made or promises are made or whatever. But when you look at it, Wayne LaPierre brings in $1 million a day,
Wow.
primarily in the fundraising. So how do you replace that? What do you do to replace that?
Yeah.
I think that there's decisions that have been made that should have been made slightly differently. Let's look at the museum. As I understand it, once again, want to dig deeper. The museum is an asset of the NRA and not protected like a museum, like the Cody Museum or any of those kinds of things. And so I think that's one of the reasons why you watch the NRA and this legal case against in New York with Letitia James. Part of that fight is that if they disband the NRA, which is what the New York State Attorney General wants to do, if they disband the 501c3, then all the assets of the NRA go to like-minded, and I'm doing air quotes, like-minded organizations. So the NRA touts itself as a gun safety organization, as does Every Time for Gun Safety, the Giffords organization, Moms Demand Action. How many gun owners would find it 100% unpalatable that the NRA walks away from the 501c3 and its assets in New York to reorganize somewhere else and allows the Giffords organization to have one dime of the NRA's money?
It's a really interesting point of view there.
Yeah.
I thought about that.
Well, you never know, when these things, get rolling, when it gets between the two parties,
Right.
And of course they're waiting for comment. So I guess that's a good time, since I've done it 3 times this today out of 6 hours. And that's to call your local representatives and let them know, what your feelings are.
Right. Great.
I just found Governor Newsom, which is our governor in California. I got his office number because there's a racetrack. That's the other show I do. And they're trying to take all the parking out of it with this goofy, and it's going on to the governor's desk. So I called every day at 5:00 and told him, please don't do that. And
Don't do it. Yeah.
But I know we're all working ourselves to death I think we got to figure out a way to do that better, to let people know. Because until, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I didn't even know the governor's phone number. I probably could have found it, but I would have never been able to go directly to his office.
To know what it was, right?
Yeah.
Well, one of the things about calling your congressmen and your senators is, if you really want, for every call that you make, every email that you send, they assume that there's 100 people who think like you.
Right.
Okay, so doing it every day is a good move, because now it's that. It doesn't matter. Don't sit and write War and Peace in an email, because they're going to read the first paragraph.
Right.
So tell them what you think and move on.
And
right?
be polite.
Exactly.
And be professional. You don't call them up and tell them all about their ancestry. You
right, exactly. And when you call them a name, you cheesehead,
Right.
it's like, okay, even if they were inclined to listen to you, they're now not.
Exactly. That disqualifies you immediately. And I think if it's a bill, I think it's just helpful if you call them and say, look, on SB 234, I really hope you look at it and throw it out. But if you give them the bill, now if it's just your opinion that, hey, the freeway on I-5 has a chuck hole that 2 cars fell into, that's a different story. But if you're talking about a bill or something that's going to end up on his desk, I think that's the best way to do it.
Well, the other part is that for your senators and your congressmen, is look at it. They have multiple offices.
Yes.
You can call every office.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
So now you're 300 or 400 voters per day.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I like,
So-
and there's no way they can check it.
Well, no, and so you care enough to call.
That's right.
I mean, yeah, so I'll tell you, my congressman voted for this last anti-gun bill that went through and the president signed. And he did it because, in his words, that it was because there's the mental health portion on there. He knows what I think, to the point where a conversation, he's like, well, I'm sorry I disappointed you. Okay, so we can have a civil conversation about it. And then it's like, okay, so here's how we recover from this. If there's work on mental health, then what about Faster Saves Lives, or one of the organizations that helps protect schools?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's those conversations. So I'm part of the DC project. We're actually going to DC Tuesday and talking face to face with our representatives about Second Amendment bills and what we think and why we need their support.
That's exactly what you need to do, or groups need to do. How hard is that to make happen?
Well, it's taken us, we've done it every year, but it's taken us the DC project is about 7, maybe 8 years old.
Yeah, I was thinking it's getting up there a little bit. But.
Yeah, so the first year there was like a dozen of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then this year there's a representative from like 48 of the 50 states.
So
it really has grown.
Just in case somebody didn't call in earlier, do you want to you got about, 5 minutes. You want to do a rundown of what is the DC project? What's its mission statement, and why is it doing what it's doing and growing so well?
Well, so the website is dcproject.info, and it's Women for Gun Rights is really the heart of it, and it is about education, not legislation, when it comes to the Second Amendment. And so it is women from every state it is I want to say non-denominational, but that's not really the word. So it is nonpartisan. So it is a nonpartisan issue organization. So it is about the Second Amendment. It is not about Republicans or Democrats, liberals or not. It is about the Second Amendment. And so we go and have relationships, have conversations, build relationships, talk to our representatives about why the Second Amendment is important. We talk about the fact that it allows us to be our own first responder. We talk about the fact that the bad guy is typically bigger, stronger, faster than we are, and a firearm is levels the playing field, if you will. We talk about how we're firearms instructors, and what we want them to see is when they talk about the Second Amendment, that it is no longer just big, burly, bearded guys in plaid shirts that are going hunting, right? It has, it has way more to it. So when you show up in a business suit and heels saying, I'm a firearms instructor, or I just came from a class, or one of the girls just went to sniper school, right? I'm going to gun sight next month. It's all about saying that there's multiple reasons why we defend the Second Amendment, and they're all important. Every single reason is important. And we have gals who have had horrific things happen to them, and they will be like, I carry a gun, so it never happens again.
Wow. You know what's interesting about actually your group and women in general? Just doing this show for as long as I've been doing it and talking to women out in the field or at the range or what have you, when you talk to them about it, they're ravenous. They're ravenous. You talk to a guy, okay, he might want to get a gun or, what have you. But girls and women, they just, they get a hold of it. They're trained in 3 weeks. They got more, shots down range than 10 guys. Is it me, or is that the general consensus of when you get I guess you could call it the bug?
They do their research. They know what they want.
Well, there's that. Well, yeah, guys just don't even read the owner's manual. Okay, so that's probably a lot more truth than meets the eye. I mean, Alicia, when you got the bug, how long did it take you to just about not be right where you wanted to be, but as far as getting it set up and ready to go?
Well, there's different layers to that. That's a really complicated question. I'm still growing. I'm still growing.
But I'm just saying,
it was quick.
You got bit.
Correct.
And next thing you know, next Monday, you were shopping.
Absolutely.
See, that's a better way to explain it. Don't you think so, Amanda? No.
Yeah, no, I think that's legit.
All right. Well, hey, the music's on. You burned up another half the show. You are so good. How do people follow you around?
So you can find me on Facebook, Amanda Suffecool, or eyeonthetargetradio.com.
All right.
Thanks for watching this clip from Gun Owners Radio. You can watch us live every Sunday from 4 to 6 p.m. California time, right here on our YouTube channel, or if you're in the San Diego area, you can listen to us on 1170 a.m. We're also available on your favorite podcast platform for free. Don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can help restore and protect the Second Amendment, not just in California, but across the country.